Hello and welcome back to Steady Rollin' Man presents The Masks of Nyarlathotep. With a serious gunshot wound to the stomach, Stanton desperately needs hospital treatment, but first, there is evidence to be collected. Let's get straight to it.
Passing through the trapdoor, the team of investigators and police moved forward cautiously. The atmosphere grew tense and heavy. The dim light from their flashlights flickered against the stone walls, illuminating runes and symbols that seemed to writhe and shimmer in the darkness. Each step echoed ominously in the narrow corridor. "These symbols," whispered Stanton, adjusting his glasses. "They're like a mixture of Sumerian and Egyptian and something else I can't quite identify." His voice wavered slightly. "I'm not sure I like them." The air was thick with the scent of damp stone and something else, something metallic and unsettling. As they approached the heavy-bound oaken door at the end of the corridor, the three policemen moved their hands to their holstered weapons. Gesturing for silence, Jacob moved slowly forward and crouched before the door. With practiced precision, he inserted a tension wrench into the keyhole, applying just enough pressure with one hand, whilst the other hand delicately probed the intricate chambers inside the lock with a slender lockpick. Gently manipulating the pick, testing each pin and feeling for the telltale feedback that signified progress. Suddenly came a click, and with a soft creak, the lock yielded to the art dealer's skillful manipulation. Lieutenant Poole arched an eyebrow, but made no comment, as the door slowly opened, revealing the chamber beyond. The investigators and police stood momentarily, their flashlights flickering across the eerie basement. Lex, Blake, Stanton, and Jacob exchanged uneasy glances. They knew what was down here. Blake broke the oppressive silence. "There could be cultists here, Lieutenant," he whispered. "Be on your guard." "I'm beginning to think I should have brought more backup," the police veteran responded grimly, before drawing his gun and stepping through the door. Inside, the chamber was large with a high ceiling. The walls, floor and ceiling were fashioned from cold dressed stone, every surface intricately carved with symbols, glyphs and runes of indeterminate origin and meaning. The symbols seemed to shift and change under the wavering torchlight, creating an almost hypnotic effect. In the corners, where the light barely reached, the darkness felt palpable, thick and unsettling. The air was cold and damp, and carried a faint musty smell of earth and stone, and again that metallic odour, slightly stronger here than before. Poole's steely eyes narrowed as he surveyed the walls, and then the huge stone block and winch at the end of the chamber. "What the hell is this place?" he muttered under his breath. "Sure as shooting ain't no speakeasy." Across the chamber, Jacob was drawn to a line of large African drums, kneeling to examine them more closely. "These types of drums are traditionally used in ceremonial rituals," he thought to himself, shuddering. God knows what terrible rites are enacted in this place. Lex approached the heavy curtain on the far side of the chamber, grasping his torch in one hand and his gun in the other. Understanding his intentions, Jacob, Stanton and Blake immediately levelled their guns at the curtain. Taking the final step forward towards the alcove, the burly young Canadian instinctively took a deep breath and immediately wished he hadn't. Gagging at the stench, he pulled the heavy velvet drapes aside and stepped back. The walking cadavers lunged forward, their decayed faces twisting in grotesque expressions of hunger. Sunken eye sockets gleamed with a sickly yellow hue, devoid of any humanity, yet fixated hungrily on movement. The lead zombie, that was once Jackson Elias, emitted a low guttural moan, its legs convulsing with disjointed unnatural jerks as if kicking out against the terrible dark power that had awoken it. One arm extended awkwardly, fingers curled into claw-like appendages, while the other hung limply, flailing only with the momentum of the abomination's sudden forward movement. Its scarred head was held at a terribly unnatural angle, and its exposed entrails dangled around its ankles. Blake wiped away the sweat pouring from his brow and narrowed his eyes to focus. Aiming steadily at the shambling figure before him, he squeezed the trigger. The bullet struck Jackson's animated corpse between its lifeless eyes, tearing through decomposing tissue and bone. With a sickening crack, the zombie's skull shattered and it collapsed to the ground, lifeless once more. The chamber had erupted into chaos. Flashlights scattered beams of light wildly around the basement, casting frantic shadows. The sharp crack of gunshots reverberated off the unyielding stone walls, fracturing into a cascade of echoes that seemed to come from every direction at once, and mixing with the terrible screams of one of the police officers that had accompanied Poole and the group down here. The sight of the zombies was too much for even the street-hardened veteran officer, and he snapped. His eyes widened in terror and he began screaming incoherently. firing his weapon wildly around the basement, bullets ricocheting off the stone walls. "Get down!" Stanton shouted, diving towards the doorway for cover. A moment later, blood was pooling rapidly around the young librarian's abdomen. He'd been shot, his face ashen, his breathing shallow. Each exhalation a pained effort, Stanton rolled face down and lay motionless in the doorway. Paul stood firm, squeezing the trigger of his automatic repeatedly at the advancing zombies. Lurching forward, one came through the chaos, the bullets repeatedly hitting its chest and arms, doing nothing to stop it. It lunged forward, its decaying hands clawing at Paul's uniform, and with terrible strength throwing the lieutenant to the ground and sending his weapon clattering away. He struggled to push the undead assailant off, but its strength was overwhelming. The zombie's teeth sank into his shoulder, tearing through a bloody mass of flesh, sinew and bone. The lieutenant let out a panicked scream, his vision blurred with pain. Helpless and unarmed, he knew his time was running out. Jacob, having taken cover on the far side of the room, raised his gun and fired at the zombie that stood over Paul. The bullet tore into the zombie's shoulder, distracting it momentarily from its prey. As the abomination turned to seek out this new assailant, Lex sprinted forward. Adrenaline pumping, he tightened his grip on his pistol, but the zombie saw him coming. Lex was caught with a vicious, rending claw that opened a long, jagged gash across his neck and chest. His head swam with pain. He knew he had to make this one count. Swinging with all his might, the butt of his gun connected with the creature's skull with a sickening thud. The zombie reeled. Lex swung again and again and again in a frenzied, desperate, rage-fueled assault. The creature's skull caved under the relentless blows. Dark ichor splattered everywhere as it crumpled to the ground, its movement ceasing. Lex stood over the corpse, panting heavily, his pistol slick with gore. Seeing that Blake and Jacob had managed to subdue the insane officer, and that all the zombies were destroyed, he turned and knelt beside Paul. His shoulder was a bloodied ruin, but he was alive. Paul's eyes narrowed, pain and determination flickering across his features. "Robson has a hell of a lot to answer for," he spat. "Hang in there, Lieutenant," Lex said. "We'll get you out of this. We can deal with Robson later." The Canadian turned away to survey the nightmarish scene of carnage in the basement of Juju House. "I think it's safe to say that Robson is the least of our worries," he muttered to himself, watching Blake and Jacob slowly turn over Stanton's blood-drenched body in the doorway. So, moments later, you have Blake has advanced towards the curtained alcove and is now searching through the items in the alcove. That's, I believe, where we left it last time around.
Yes, so I found a mask, a shawl, a lion's claws affixed to gloves, a burnished copper bowl, a scepter with carved runes, a headband of grey metal with characters on the surface, a modern chronometer, and a cash box.
Indeed, you did. So just to summarise, in terms of who is injured and who isn't, so that we remember. So the officer, the kind of stocky ginger head officer who was shooting everybody, he's been calmed, but he still seems really jittery. His eyes are wide and his knuckles are white. He's still kind of looking around the room, even as if he's not believing that there's no further danger. The other officer, that he's fainted straight away at the beginning of the zombie attack. He's awoken and immediately vomits uncontrollably. He's now just sat in the kind of corner of the chamber with sort of vomit all down the front of him, just like literally just staring into space. He is conscious. Lieutenant Paul is conscious also, but he has a ruined shoulder. It looks, it's obviously a pretty serious wound that's going to need hospital treatment. Stanton is conscious as well, but has a bullet wound in his stomach. Again, is definitely going to need to go to hospital. Lex, he's got a gash on his neck and chest. He looks pretty beat up, but with Lex, it seems to be he's obviously already carrying a wound from previously, but he's also got like a combination of a few other wounds as well. So maybe not quite as serious as the other guys, but it still looks pretty beat up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just to go back to those items that we referred to. So the items in the alcove, they're wrapped inside a leopard's hide. I'm just going to kind of make sure that I've given you the full descriptions of them. So the headdress that you found is similar to the the ones that you saw on the cultist that killed Jackson, and also the one you saw previously in the attic that you guess was Silas's. So that the only difference between this one and the ones that are on the cultist is that this one actually has a mummified human tongue hanging from it rather than a piece of red cloth.
Okay.
So as you said, you've got the robe, which was a long feathered shawl of shimmering colour, made out of feathers. Some of them are blue and pink, various, you think like kingfisher and flamingo feathers. The lion's claws sort of glove will basically fix to glove-like garments, and you think they might be sturdy enough to be used as weapons or potentially ritual items. The burnished copper bowl, etched with unrecognisable runes and signs. There's something quite unusual about that, in as much as the copper is really thin copper, but it's actually really heavy as well, which is unusual, because as you know, copper is quite a light metal anyway. But it looks the kind of the thinness of the bowl, you wouldn't really expect it to be fit for purpose. But it's surprisingly strong. There, you kind of touch it and try and bend it a little bit. It literally doesn't move. It doesn't give at all.
Okay.
There's a carved scepter made from a spongy, fibrous wood, which also, I believe, has... Yeah, again, that's inset with strange markings. Look a little bit like hieroglyphics.
Mm.
The headband of grey metal has various symbols upon it, kind of almost like pictographs, like symbols.
Mm-hmm.
Stanton, you recognise as... Oh no, you're not, because you're not there. You don't recognise anything because you're unconscious. So that's all the items. And the chronometer, which I mentioned, is actually, but you'd recognise it. It's actually a brass marine chronometer, which has been removed from its protective wooden case. So you're looking at it. It shows 6:20 p.m. as the time. Obviously, quickly checking your watch, you can see that it's 2:20 in the afternoon at the moment. But
so it's 4 hours fast.
4 hours ahead. Yeah. It's still. It hasn't stopped though. It is still keeping time. And lastly was that the locked cash box, which I don't think you'd opened from memory.
No.
While I think about it, I'm going to try and give some first aid to Stanton as the worst injured.
Okay. Stanton, you're conscious now. So you obviously, I presume that you'd probably want to try and help.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Give as much assistance as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Wincing every time I look down.
Okay. So I'll get you to roll first then. Not you, Stanton. Jacob, if you can roll a first aid roll, please.
It's a fail.
Okay. And then Stanton, you need to roll one as well. It needs one of the two you to succeed.
Yeah, it's a normal success.
Okay, so you've between the two of you then, with Jacob, with Stanton's direction, you've managed to stop the bleeding now. Okay. So yeah, you stop the bleeding. They've removed any imminent danger, and actually you recover 1 hit point off the back of that. But obviously you're both aware that you're going to need to go to hospital because it's not the type of wound that's just going to get better on its own.
But I'll offer some help to Lieutenant Poole as well.
Okay. Make a roll. Ooh.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
I was going to ask if I'm able to stagger across.
Learning from the instruction that you've just been given from Stan. No, and you go over to Paul and you kind of tend to the wound that he's got on his shoulder. Again, it's just really all it is about just stopping the blood flow at this stage. It's pretty much all you can do with what you've got. But you successfully managed to do that, and Paul is actually able to stand, obviously grimacing with pain. You can hear as you're doing that, you can hear like whistles, police whistles being sounded somewhere in the distance. What are the rest of you doing then? So you've looked through the items. What are you doing, Lex, whilst this is going on?
I will have to take a little sit down. I'm absolutely seeing stars. I think I'm worried my jaw might even be broken. I'm just gonna have a sit down. I can't really do much.
Okay. Paul kind of staggers to his feet and says, "We need to get the hell out of this place. We need to seal it off."
Where's Nkwame?
Well, you know that he was left upstairs with one of the police officers looking after
How
him.
many other police are up there?
2.
Right. We need to seal this place. And Paul, this is real, but we can't tell anyone because they won't believe us. We can come up with a better story at a later date, but something like it has to be sealed because there's hallucinogenic gas in down here or something, which would explain what happened to your colleagues.
Yeah, he grimaces and says, "Yeah, you're right."
Fungus, maybe.
Yeah,
Sorry?
let's just.
Fungus on the cellar.
Yeah. So we need to seal it, but we need to find. And Kwame had a book. We need to find that book before everything becomes overrun. While I'm talking, I'm going to open the cash box and have a look inside.
Okay, the cash box is locked.
Is it heavy duty, or can I just force it?
You could probably pry it open, yeah, if you've got a knife or a screwdriver.
Yeah, I've got a penknife, so I'll force it.
Okay, within the box you find what look to be several kind of personal items. The first one that your eyes fall upon is a silver locket. It looks like it's tarnished and much worn. It's got a small sepia-toned photograph of a smiling young woman in a flapper dress. The back of the locket is engraved with the initials EM and a date from just a few months ago. There's also a set of keys, a simple keyring with a few keys, including one with a distinctive keychain, a small ornate charm shaped like a lucky horseshoe. This charm looks freshly purchased. There's also a pocket watch, a man's pocket watch, which is stopped at 10:15. The gold casing is worn and the face of the watch has a small crack. There's a worn leather wallet. You open the wallet and you can actually see a driving license in there. A young man's smiling face looks up at you from the wallet. African American in his late 20s. So you kind of, and then lastly, there's a pair of eyeglasses, delicate and stylish, round, small decorative chain attached to one, slightly bent. These are all kind of personal items.
Probably from the zombies. Would that match up? Is one of the zombies a black gentleman? Obviously not.
Yeah. Well,
Jackson.
Not Jackson. Yeah, another one. There was 2 African American cadavers. One female, one white woman, one white man.
Yeah, I suspect these are keepsakes of some description. We need to get to Nkwame and get him to tell us where the book is. That's the most important thing right now.
Paul says, "What the hell are those? That's evidence. I need that."
Evidence of what? What are you going to be saying? I mean, you can take that, but
the first thing I'm going to be doing with it is getting one man who's on death row out, because Hilton Adams is in. Is looking forward to a visit to the electric chair for killing some of these guys, and he never did it.
Right. You can take all this, but
this is evidence that this cult have actually been murdering people on the streets of Harlem, which is exactly what Robson has fitted up.
We need to take this other stuff, though. You can take that, but we need this. We need to find out.
Yeah, you can have all that. I just need that. It's that I need. It's this stuff. Okay. It's this stuff. He says he takes the box from me.
Yeah, you're welcome to that.
I need everything that I can get to make sure that Robson doesn't get off.
That's fine.
Should we be opening this stone?
No.
What if there are people down there?
No.
What if there's something down there like was in the pyramid?
Why don't we bring Kwame down and see whether he
would you trust him?
Resistant to no, not tell it. Just see what his attitude is toward us opening it.
Let's get out of here anyway. I need to get the other 2 officers out of here too.
Well, let's lead everybody up, but we need to get Kwame However, we can to hand over that book, and he's not going to want to do it. So it may involve threats.
We should definitely ask Kwame, well, just tell him that we're going to take the stone off now and see what his reaction is.
Yeah. Okay.
Sit him next to it.
Okay, you're gonna go out and back up the stairs.
Yep.
Okay, Paul turns to you, Jacob, and says, "Can you lock the door? I don't want anybody coming back in here."
Well, I can, Lieutenant Paul, but I think we may be coming back in a second.
Well, yeah,
We'll seal it afterwards. This place needs filling with concrete.
yeah, leave that to me. I'll make sure that it's either something or wood done to it.
It needs sealing so that nobody can come back in here.
Yeah, I'll call for backup. I'll involve the bureau. They'll know what to do, but we need to keep it. We need to keep it from becoming too big here.
I agree.
Just need to keep people out.
Right.
Shoulder.
Let's get you to hospital, and we need to talk to Kwame.
Okay, you go up into the shop. You can see one of the police officers is standing in the shop. He's like, "What the hell's going on? What's going on, Lieutenant? We heard gunshots. Wilson's gone for backup. He doesn't. The African man. He's tried to run off. I've chained him to the drain pipe outside. Tried to make a run for it when the shooting started. You look, Paul. You're badly injured. What the hell happened down there?" Paul says, "Look, now isn't the time for questions, officer. We just need to get an ambulance here now. We need to get me and these guys to hospital."
I'm going to head straight outside and find Kwame.
Okay, you go outside with one of the police officers comes out with you, and he says, and Kwame is like crouched down, like he's handcuffed to the drain pipe. The officer says, two African winos approached the top of the alleyway in Ransom Court not long after you'd gone down. On seeing them, and Kwame started shouting in some sort of African language, and they just turned and ran off.
Right. They've got accomplices, so we're going to have to move fast to round everybody else up. So once questioned Kwame, we're going to have to leave and follow that up. Can you get everybody to hospital?
Yeah, well, Kwame's just he's sat there, like looking up, smiling at you with this stupid, toothless grin.
I look down at him and say, "We're going to open the pit now. Would you care to join us?"
His eyes widen a little bit. He says, "Join you for what?"
The grand opening. I'm assuming you know what's down there. Perhaps you could explain it to us.
I do not know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I am just a poor shopkeeper.
Well, look at me very closely when I say to you that you or your colleagues murdered one of my best friends, and his body was down there, and we saw what you did to it. So do not think for 1 second that I wouldn't kill you very slowly if you don't provide me with the information that I need.
Oh, no. Silas and Kwane, he not ever hurt anyone. I am just a shopkeeper. I do not know what you talk about.
Where's the other policeman? Where's the policeman at the moment?
And the next year.
Perhaps we should continue this. Perhaps we should continue this downstairs.
Yeah. Officer, would you unlock him, please? We need him to assist us with something that we've found downstairs.
Be careful, he's a slippery sensor. He almost got away.
I'll try to not look too knackered and try to look a bit imposing.
Okay, he unlocks him.
Well, we'll do Jacob's favourite thing. We'll take off one of his shoes. Very difficult to run when you've got one shoe. Slow him down.
Well, he looks. He kind of tries to struggle and move his feet away. What are you doing?
Making it easier to catch you when you run.
I tell you, I am just a shopkeeper. I have nothing to tell you.
Then you've got nothing to worry about. Perhaps you can just explain to us what's going on in your cellar. Let's go. And I'll grab him by the scruff of the neck and drag him back into the shop.
Okay.
Are there any chairs down in the cellar?
Chairs?
Chairs.
No.
Are there any in the shop?
Yeah, there's a couple in the shop. In his kind of back room area, there's a chair by the desk.
I'll grab one and take it down to the cellar when we go.
Okay. As you leave the courtyard, you can hear and you can see the police kind of cordoning off the end of the alleyway and the surrounding area. It seems that some more police have already arrived. Okay, you go back into through the trapdoor and down the cellar steps. I know nothing. I cannot help you. Please, let me go. I knew not about this place.
Where's the book that you were looking at the other night when you were upstairs when you had guests?
Book? I do not know.
Okay,
What do you mean?
We'll keep walking downstairs as we go.
Okay, we take him down the steps.
A very large tome. Don't deny it. We saw you.
That is not my book. That is friend.
Who owns the book? Where is it now?
I cannot say anymore.
If you want to make it out of this situation alive, you'll tell us everything. Bear in mind, we're not the police, and you killed our friend.
I have not killed anybody. I am just a shopkeeper.
Well, in which case, I'll feel very sorry after I've killed you. It will be a sort of great regret to me.
Who else is with you? Is it Jacob and you and him?
No, I followed up.
You went as well. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm guessing I would have got Hand to stagger upstairs to the shop.
Yeah, you
probably
can't
not
really do
gonna
anything
get
other
down
than you just have
Yeah.
to. You're just sitting
I'm
up
just-
in the shop with the
I'm
lieutenant,
just waiting for my taxi.
waiting for the ambulance to arrive. Yeah.
The meat wagon.
He looks around, and you get the impression that he's looking for a kind of escape route. But then you can see by his face that he realizes that he's surrounded.
I'll theatrically remove the magazine from my 45, check the bullets, and then put them back in and make sure he's absolutely clear that I am an intimidating gentleman.
I'm going to put the chair by the side of the stone slab. So the aim is to sit him next to it.
Okay, he walks up to the chair. You're going to make him sit on it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, he sits down.
Should we secure him?
Yeah, we got anything to tie him with.
He's not going anywhere.
Oh, it will be entertaining to see him try. So, I ask you again, who has the book? Where is it now?
I tell you, I do not know. I am just a shopkeeper.
Okay.
That line's not going to play with us, Nakwame. We know you're not just a shopkeeper. Don't insult our intelligence. We're going to get angry if you continue.
Now, we're working against the clock here because we know that you shouted at some of your colleagues, which means that they've run off to go and tell your other friends that we're here. So if we are to catch up with them before they're in the wind and we need to get that book, you're going to have to speak fast, which means we don't have time to discuss things or have niceties with you. Your choice. Tell us now or things are going to get painful.
I do not know anything.
Get my kosh out.
Okay, you get your kosh out. Obviously, his eyes follow the kosh suspiciously.
Are you right or left-handed?
Left.
Okay. Well, I would hate for you not to be able to write a confession. So, right-hand it is.
No. Please do not hurt me. I am a frail old man, as you see.
Which is
I do not-
unfortunate. Just mean that your bones will break more easily. Last chance.
Do not break Nkwane's bones. No, please. I beg you, please. I am just an old man.
Last chance.
Yeah. The book. I can't. I tell you where it is. If you let me go.
Tell us. I know then that you get to keep your hand.
Darley have it.
Is that the one who worked at the shipping agent, Darren?
He doesn't say anything, but his eyes tell you all you need to know. But that is the one and the same.
Right. We need to move, gentlemen. Fast.
You let me go now.
You're lucky I'm not going to kill you where you sit. Search him. Has he got any keys or anything on him?
Yeah, he's got around his neck. He's got a couple of keys, well, 3 or 4. One of them probably looks about the right size to fit this door down here.
Yeah, take those. I'll give them to
And the others would appear to be for the shop.
Jacob.
Okay. What are you going to do? Leave him down here or take him back upstairs?
No, because the police are going to have to come back down, and they won't necessarily want them to see this. I'll
Okay.
look at the others and say, do you want to open the
You
pit?
can you all make a listen roll for me, please? Well, all of you that are down, there's 3 of you down here, isn't there?
Yeah.
Fail from me.
Okay.
It is a hard success from me.
Okay.
And me.
2 hard successes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Lex and Blake. Suddenly, you in a kind of moment of silence, as you're standing above Nkwane, you both suddenly hear some really faint sounds. It sounds very much like a shrieking sound, but so faint that the person would have to be a long way away. But oddly, the shriek seems to emanate from the well itself.
When you say from the well, you mean in the well?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, as opposed to.
So it's a really, really, really faint shrieking sound that's muffled by the huge stone block on top of the.
As if
And
there's. Yeah, as if there's somebody trapped a long way down the well. That would be my interpretation of it.
it's as you kind of listening more closely, it's literally just on the periphery of your hearing. It almost sounds like kind of anguished cries, barely discernible, but certainly real.
I'll
Like
turn around and go, does anyone else hear that? I can hear something. What? The well.
I heard that as well. It sounds like there's someone down there, a long way down.
Shall I try and push the stone out of the way?
There's a winch,
okay.
isn't there?
Okay.
I'll look at Nkwame. What do you use this for?
Who is down there?
Can I get all 3 of you to make D20 rolls, please? Percentile rolls. Tell me what you get, please.
Or
82.
And 85.
well, at least one of us is screwed.
Possibly 2 of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Did we need to roll high or low?
Yeah.
Just so I don't forget this. If that chronometer is set 4 hours ahead of US time, could be set for a time when they have to do their ritual, but midnight, say, in Egypt or Kenya, something. Maybe that's why it's set 4 hours ahead. Just a thought.
They'd be further ahead than that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, maybe. Well, maybe not be significant at all. Yeah, you're right. Actually, it would be like 8.
It isn't sort of indicative of the time difference, isn't it? But
okay.
Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you're kind of. Well, I'll come back to that in a second. So hold that
Yeah.
thought. But you, Blake, you're looking at Nkwame, and you can just with your innate ability to see through the exterior of an individual, you can see that the prospect of opening the well or winching the well, he seems almost unable to contain his excitement. You can see his eyes, his pupils have dilated massively, and you can just tell that it's something that he
wants us to do it.
Yeah, maniacal kind of glee bubbling under, trying to make its way to the surface. He's trying to stay composed, but you can see through that. The other 2, you don't see this.
Yeah, I'm just going to say we need to leave it. There's something very, very wrong with this. He wants us to open that, which says to me that we definitely shouldn't. Whatever's down there, whoever's been thrown down there, they're gone. We could release something.
I know nothing about what's down there.
Forgive me if I don't believe you.
I can hear screaming sounds. Someone is trapped.
You can hear it now, hey?
I see what you mean, Douglas.
We should leave, and we should make sure that nobody opens that. The whole place needs sealing.
Agreed.
So we better hand him over to the police. I'm sure they'll want to take him into custody.
Yeah. Right, we need to go. We need to get Stanton to hospital. Lex, you...
I'll go with Stanton.
Right. Jacob, we need to go and get that book.
Yeah.
Okay. You head back to the surface. So you're handing over Nkwame to the police.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say to whatever you do not allow anybody down into that cellar. Do not let him down into the cellar, and definitely, if anybody is stupid enough to go in there, do not open the pit.
Yeah, don't worry. The lieutenant's already told us there are 4 police up inside the shop now, and there's another 6 outside.
I'll lock the door on the way out to the cellar using the key.
Okay. So Stanton and Paul, and are you going to the hospital as well, Lex?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And we need to get to Andari's place. We've got his address, haven't we now?
Yeah, you've got his address because Emerson phoned Paul.
Yeah.
Gave it to him.
Yeah, we need to get there as soon as possible.
Is it
Okay,
in
so
Harlem?
Paul gives you the address. It's not far from the place that he works.
Oh, okay. So we need to get a taxi. Okay, we'll do that. Before I leave, I'm going to reload my gun.
Me too. While we're doing that, Douglas, would it be worth bringing a police officer with us? Whether Paul might lend us one.
Yeah.
You'll have to stick to the law, Jacob. Can you manage that?
That would be my concern. We need that. We need that book, and the way in which we go about obtaining it might not necessarily correspond with the police officer's rules.
Okay.
Okay, so what's the decision? You're going to go just with the 2 of you, are you?
2 of us,
Yeah.
yeah. Taxi.
Okay. Okay, so Stanton, Lex, you accompanied by Paul, and you go. You're taken to St Luke's Hospital in Morningside Avenue, which is actually not very far at all away from where Stanton lives. Okay, and you 2 are heading straight off to Dari's
Yeah.
place. Yep. Okay.
The risk is, Jacob, that those 2 that Kwame shouted at have already made it there, and if he hasn't gone already, there may be 3 of them there. So we might have to go in hard and fast.
Yeah.
To be honest, I've got no interest in.
Afraid of.
Yeah, I've got no interest in what he's got to say. I just want the book.
Okay, you're going to head through the streets towards the western side of Manhattan. I can't remember exactly where he's based. Let's have a look. Yeah, 129th Street. Well, actually, sorry, it is on the east side that he lives, 129th Street. But it's still reasonable. It's still a taxi ride from here. So you jump in the taxi and away you go.
When we get there, depending on the layout of the building, it might be worth one of us going in the back or up the fire escape and the other one going through the front door so he can't run.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm happier to go up the fire escape
I'll go through the door.
if there is one.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a short taxi ride to East 129th Street, which you arrive at mid-afternoon. The light is starting to fade. It's quite a run-down district with some kind of walk-up tenement buildings, maybe like about 4 or 5 stories high in places. So it looks like from the address that you've got that he actually lives in an apartment which is 3 floors up. You can see there's quite a lot of kind of ne'er-do-wells hanging around on the steps outside, and in the kind of open corridor that goes into the centre of the building. There is a fire escape on the outside.
Before we left, I'll have given the gear that I took from the cellar. I'll give it to Lex to take to the hospital. I don't want to be carrying it around with me. Seems pointless.
The gear that
no
you found in the cellar, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we're both going to have to go through the door, aren't we? Or not? We won't know from the fire escape which apartment it is.
No, that's fair. Right. Ready?
Yep. I think I'm going to go through with my gun ready.
Yeah. Before we get out the taxi, I'm going to get my pistol out, put it in my pocket, and then walk in with the gun, my hand on the gun in the pocket.
Perhaps if I just try the door very gently, just on the off chance it's unlocked, and if it is locked, then I think we're going to have to use shock and awe tactics, aren't we?
Yeah.
Perhaps if we try and stealthily approach the door, just have a listen, try the door gently, and then storm in if need be.
Well, it might be good if you could try and pick it. If you don't hear any noise, it's quite noisy around.
Yeah, it's very noisy actually.
Okay.
Try that, then we might be able to surprise him, because we know In all likelihood, not having Lex here, if we tried to kick the door down, we'll probably bounce off it.
Mhm.
Yeah, things have a habit of bouncing off Lex, don't they?
Okay. So you're going to go through the door into the kind of lobby area downstairs. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a couple of African African-looking gentlemen standing in the porch outside the doorway. They, as you begin to walk towards the door, they eye you suspiciously.
Just keep walking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just walk past them.
You haven't got your gun out though, have you?
No, it's in my
No.
pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You go past them into the hallway downstairs. As I say, it's the kind of pretty run-down, scruffy-looking place. You go up the wooden staircase, which is paint's peeling off it. Like there are wallpapers like peeling off the walls as well, and there's like damp patches all over the kind of wall and ceiling. You head up to the third floor and look for his number 4, which is his apartment.
Once we get to the third floor, I'm going to try and be as quiet as we possibly can, moving along the corridor to his door.
Okay. Yep. You move along as quietly as you can. Okay. Can you make a stealth roll, please?
I'll obviously do the same because otherwise that would be a bit silly.
That's a fail.
Regular pass success.
Okay. The floorboards kind of creak under your weight as you approach, Jacob. But you kind of wince as it happens. You can carry on towards the door.
Yeah.
Okay. You get to the it's like what would have been a blue door at one time, but it's almost faded beyond recognition now. You can see that the lock's been smashed off a few times off this door and replaced. But you can't hear anything coming from within.
Is there any light coming from inside under the door or anything?
No, it's still the daytime currently though, so you wouldn't expect to necessarily need a light, but you can't see any light.
I'll very, very carefully and slowly try the door handle, see if it's unlocked, taking my gun out with my other hand.
I'll indicate to him to stand to one side as he does that, so he's not standing directly in front of the door. I've got my gun out as well now.
Sorry, I apologise. I was reading. What did you say
It's
you were
alright.
doing?
Jacob's trying the door, but
Yeah.
he's offset slightly so that if somebody shoots through it, it doesn't hit him. I am standing on the other side of the door with my pistol out.
Okay. The door's locked.
I'll do a throat symbol to Douglas, and then get my lockpicks out.
I'll nod. Should learn sign language. Mikey, we
Accurate.
can probably both do thieves' cant. So,
Can you make a locksmith roll then, please?
That's a hard success.
Okay. After a couple of minutes, you manage to work open the lock. Hear a satisfying click. Again, you still heard nothing from inside at this stage.
Is it that sort of click? Is it quite loud? Is it likely to have travelled into the room?
It's a similar volume to if you actually open the door with a key. So if you're in the room beyond, you would hear that, wouldn't you?
Okay. I'm going to go straight in then with gun drawn.
Okay.
I'll follow him in.
Okay. You open the door and you find yourself in a squalid, bare, one-roomed apartment with stained floors, sagging ceilings. It's barely furnished with broken, mismatched items. The air is thick with the stench of mould and stale air. And there's like some kind of fetid bedding in the centre of the room. Aside from that, there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of anything in here.
Is it just one room? There's no sort of bathroom
Yeah, it's kind
or anything?
Well, it's got a sink at one end of the room and like a very basic kind of cooker at one end and a sink at the other, but that's it. There's no separate rooms that lead off it. It's all one big room. I'm not even that big actually.
Is the window to the fire escape closed?
Window's closed. Yeah, you're going to go across.
Yeah, I'll close the door behind us.
I'll stay by the door. You look.
Yeah, I'll start searching the room.
Okay. You're all staying by the door, did you say, Blake?
Yeah, if somebody comes through, I'll be ready for them.
Okay.
Does the door open in or outwards?
It opens inwards.
Okay. So I'll stand on the side of so when the door opens, I'm behind the door.
Okay. Yep. Okay, can you make a spot hidden roll, please, Jacob?
Not really on fire tonight. No, that's a fail.
Okay. There isn't really a huge amount to move or search through. You kind of search through the bedding and look, and there's nothing at all. There's not even any clothes here.
Quietly, so I can't find anything, Douglas.
You get the impression it feels like it's more of a crash than the actual dwelling. If you see what I mean.
That's the bolt hole.
Yeah. That's the word I was after.
Do you want to have a look?
Let's
Douglas,
swap.
watch the
Yeah. We'll swap, and then I'll do a search.
Okay.
I'll assume the position behind the door.
Okay.
Gun drawn.
Yep. Okay. So Blake, with your keen ex-policeman's eyes, there's as I said, there's not a huge amount to search, but we'll look around.
You do realise you've doomed me by saying that. Hang on.
Is that a 4 or 40?
That's 47. So that is a success.
Okay. You're about to give up, concurring with Jacob that there is nothing to find here when you notice that right in the far corner of the room, like there's ever so slightly, one of the floorboards seems to be a tiny little bit raised. It's barely discernible at all. I mean, the room itself, the floor is not exactly in the best of condition, but something looks a little bit out of kilter to your experienced eyes. You go over and have a look, and one of the floorboards actually looks like it's been gemmed up.
Well, I'll pry it open.
Okay. You find actually 3 of the floorboards come away at about kind of maybe a 1.5 length, revealing a hidey hole underneath, which has got something in there. There are 2 items actually, both wrapped in blankets.
Okay, I'll pull them both out then.
Well, the first one that you pick out, you're almost certain is a large. It's exactly the right size, and feels like a book.
Okay, I'll just take. I won't look at it at the moment. I'll just take it.
Okay. The second thing that you pull out is quite. It feels it's kind of roundish and about maybe roughly the size of a rugby ball. American football, whatever, a rugby ball, and also, but it's hard. You think it's probably wooden.
Yeah, I'll take a quick look at it.
Okay. You pull it out of the blanket. It's a carved wooden mask. It has 4 hideous faces perched atop a thick corded neck, with a basket-like reed, feather, and fabric collar that would hide the wearer's face. It's quite a unnerving looking item, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I shall quickly wrap that back up again.
Should we get out of here?
Nod at Jacob. I'll just double check that there's nothing else in that cubby hole.
Okay, yeah, you do a quick final search of it. There's nothing else in there, as far as you can see.
All right, I'll put the floorboards back and nod, indicate that we should leave. I can't carry them both really. I'll give the mask to Jacob. I'll carry the book. Then that way we can both use our pistols if we need to.
Jacob, you suddenly hear a sound outside. Somebody steps on the same squeaky floorboard that you stepped on when you came, when you tried to sneak up to the door.
We've got company, Douglas.
Okay,
Fire escape.
Good idea.
I'll go straight over to the window and open it.
Okay. You're going over to the window. You throw the window open, which leads directly onto the fire escape. What are you doing, Blake?
I will follow him. Is there anything that I can put in front of the door quickly? It's like there a chair or something I can wedge underneath the door handle.
Okay. Yeah, there's a chair, but it's across the other side of the room, so you're gonna have to go and grab it.
No, I won't bother. I'll just head straight out the door then.
Okay.
Out the window.
You head towards the window. So you're at the window. You've just thrown the window up, Jacob. You're halfway towards the window, Blake. When the door is thrown open to the room, and you see a tall, muscled black African man that you've seen before. Only this time, his face is contorted with hatred, as he begins intoning and shouting alien words at you.
I shoot him.
Okay. Let's see who's going to act first.
Douglas has traditionally been quicker than me, I've noticed. I've noticed I tend to be the second quickest in the group.
Not that I've been studying such things, but I think you might be right.
Ordinarily, I wouldn't try and shoot him, but it was the fact that you said in tone. I thought, nah,
Yeah, that's fine.
don't like it when you say that.
No, straightforward and boring would be much better.
And Dari shrugs, turns around, leaves.
Okay, you marginally react quickest, Blake. You spin round, and you're just going to shoot. You say you're just going to shoot directly at him.
Yep.
As he throws the door open, and you just without almost like second, almost like a reflex action. You only just have time to see the tall, muscular African man with shaven head, wearing a dark woolen trench coat and a brown and red striped scarf. He raises his hands in front of him and starts intoning something in an alien language. You just shoot him.
Yeah. 3 shots. That's a hard success. Although I
Okay.
get minus on that, don't I? Firing 3 shots.
Yes, you get a penalty die for firing 3 shots, but I'm just going to see how close you are to the door. So you're
halfway across the room, so you're not point blank.
point blank range is for you is within 14 feet, so you will be within point blank range. So that negates the penalty die.
Okay. So it's a hard success.
Okay.
Do you want some damage?
Yes, please. Yeah.
6.
Okay.
Second shot is a miss. Third shot is a regular hit.
Okay. So the first shot slams into his shoulder. Second one hits the door frame, and then you say that the third one hits as well.
Yeah, and that's 8 damage.
Okay. So it's 6 and 8 damage.
Yeah.
Okay. Constitution roll. So 1 slammed into his shoulder, 1 slammed into his groin. The blood spurts from both wounds. 40. Okay. Despite taking 2 slugs directly, one of them's buried itself into his shoulder and the other one's buried itself into his abdomen. He just seems completely oblivious to that. Would have killed most men, those 2 shots. But he just carries on with his screaming until you hear him shout, Nyarlathotep!
Shoot him.
He's a big lad. That would have killed me.
It would have killed most men. Okay, can you make a power roll, please?
Excuse me. Who? Both of us?
No, just
Or
you.
just me?
Yeah, just you.
Oh, yes.
What did you get?
I got 24. My power is 60.
Okay, so
It's a hard success.
hard success. Okay. As he utters the last syllable of his incantation, a terrible, withering magic spreads forth like a dark fog into the room. The air grows cold and stale, filled with the stench of decay. Your flesh begins to wither on your bones. You can, in front of you, Jacob, you can see Blake's eyes hollowing and his life force visibly draining in front of your eyes as the very essence of life seems to be being sucked out of him. You take 9 damage.
Ooh.
You need to make a constitution roll, please, to remain conscious.
Nah.
Okay, seeing your flesh withering in before your very eyes, you just feel your life force drain. You just drop. Jacob, you now lock eyes with the cultist. What are you gonna do?
I'm going to shoot him. Am I at point blank range? I was by the window, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's a very big room, is it?
It's not a very big room. Yeah, you're just about on the cusp of point blank range.
Then I'll unload 3 shots.
Okay. Right. Okay, go.
That's ordinary success.
Okay.
It's 5 damage.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so the bullet strikes him square in the chest, tearing through flesh and bone. He staggers, eyes wide with shock and pain, before collapsing to the ground. Blood is pouring from the wound, soaking his robes. He's still trying to breathe, but each breath becomes a wet, gurgling struggle as his lungs fill with blood, and the light quickly fades from his eyes. He reaches out towards you as he's lying on the ground. You can see he's still trying to intone some sort of terrible incantation. What are you going to do?
I'm gonna.
You didn't roll the next one, did you?
No.
You go and roll the next one because you said you'd find 3, didn't you?
Ooh,
Oh shit. Okay.
that's an extreme success.
Yeah. So that's maximum damage plus roll the actual dice again. So maximum damage plus roll the dice again. Yeah.
So maximum damage is 8 plus another 4.
The air is thick with the metallic scent of blood. The walls in this squalid room are now spattered with gore. But Dari is dead.
Is he in the room or in the doorway or half in and out?
He's kind of half in it. He's fallen into the room, but his legs are still sticking out of the door.
I'm going to pull him into the room and close the door.
Okay.
And then wedge the door with the chair, and then see if I can bring Douglas round.
Okay, you attend to Douglas. Yeah, his skin is like a horrible grey colour. In places, it's almost black, where it's blackened, where it's shriveled up, almost like it's been burnt. On like the backs of his hands, on his arms, especially. His eyes are sunken and sallow. He just looks like almost like he's. What it reminds you of a little bit is it reminds you of what the effect that you saw in Peru when you went down into the cellar and saw the body of Rizzo. It's obviously not as extreme as that, but it's the same sort of effect in as much as like he seems to be smaller than he was. His very very kind of force has been drained out.
Is it similar to when I got bitten as well?
Yeah, that kind of similar sort of draining of your very life force. But yeah, you managed, you can bring him round. Blake, you're now aware of your surroundings. You feel terribly weak, but
Look at my arms, and then look at the corpse.
Yeah, and all the gore and everything that's splattered all over the door and the walls of the room. There seems to be some kind of commotion going on downstairs as well. You hear some shouting.
Excellent shot, Jacob. We
need to get out.
We need to go. Can you help me? Can you take the book?
Yeah. Can you make it down the fire escape?
I'll try, but if it comes down to it, leave me. I'll make my own way back. You've got to get this to safety. So if it comes down to it, leave me. Take that, and then I'll stumble up to the window and get going. You go first.
You're going to head down the fire escape?
Yeah, well, make sure that Jacob goes first with the tome and the mask.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll head down as well, and I'll reload my pistol as I go.
Okay.
I'll reload too as I go. Actually, if I can, carrying all the stuff.
Okay, so you head down the fire escape. The metal stairs rattle under your hurried steps. The cold late afternoon air bites at your skin as you descend. Also, glance back occasionally to ensure you're not being followed. You get to the ground. You can hint, and the sounds of the city engulf you. What are you going to do once you get to the pavement outside?
You need to get to the hospital.
You just go around the corner and hail a cab.
Yeah.
Okay, you sprint around. Well, you run as fast as you can around the corner. Your hearts are pounding, but you kind of melt away into the crowds. For once, you're glad of the crowds of New York, and you hail a yellow cab. And where are you going to ask it to take you?
The hospital.
I can't stop looking at my hands.
Okay.
Is it bad, Jacob? Is my face as bad as my hands?
Cabby you see the cabbie eyeing you through the rearview mirror. Says, "You look like shit."
Thanks. I don't feel too hot.
What happened to you?
He had an electric shock. It's like he's suffered some burns. Can you get us to the hospital quickly?
Yeah, he floors it. Did you ask to be taken to the same hospital that the others were being taken to?
Yeah.
Okay. That's St. Luke Hospital in Morningside.
Close my eyes and lean back in the car.
Okay.
I think you saved my life there, Jacob. Thank you.
I think I saved mine too. What the hell did you do?
I don't know. I don't know. Feels like, I don't know, something that Larkin managed, though that was force. This drained me.
It
I
looks
talk
similar. Looks
talk
similar to
quietly.
when I was bitten.
Are you both sat in the back, I presume? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're whispering here.
You kind
Yeah.
of sat there. You're every time you close your eyes, it just kind of comes back to you. You just can't shake the thoughts of the kind of the cultist attack, the violent chaos of whatever it was that he brought forth. It was almost as if that kind of miasma that was almost like it was living. It's like something. It's not nothing you've ever seen or experienced before.
The only thing I can think that would explain it is magic.
There'd been a spell, the words he used.
Well, I can't think of any other explanation for what we've seen. Maybe the book, once we have a chance to study it, will tell us what it was. But was obviously a cultist and had abilities beyond the natural.
Can you both make a sanity roll, please?
Surprisingly, I'm quite chilled about it.
I'm quite rattled. I'm quite rattled, actually.
Well, it's because you saw it, whereas it happened to me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, reliving the experience in your mind, Jacob. It begins to sink in exactly, the actual extent of what you saw, and what the cultists actually did to Blake. You lose 2 sanity.
Okay.
I think it means we have to act really fast when we see things like this. We can't give them an opportunity.
Okay. Presently, you arrive at the hospital, and where Lex and Stanton are already ensconced.
Go to the emergency room and ask to see a doctor.
Okay. So presently, you're all, after you obviously admitted at differing times, you will end up in the same ward in St. Luke's Hospital with your various ailments. So wards in these days are open. So the ward itself is a vast open hall punctuated by a neat row of metal framed beds. The beds are simple, sturdy affairs. White linens, pristine and starched, draped across the beds. Natural light streams in through the large, expansive windows, illuminating the room, providing essential ventilation. The air is full of the smell of antiseptic scents. The nurses move with purpose between the beds, their caps perched crisply atop their heads, embodying the spirit of meticulous care. Their routines are a blend of basic nursing duties and the burgeoning practices of the earliest 20th century medicine. So you are all now being cared for. Your nightmare of today seems just that little bit farther away. As you are cared for by doctors and nurses. As far as Stanton and Blake go, you're going to have to stay in for a couple of days. Lex, you're going to definitely have to stay in overnight, but it's going to have to see how you are tomorrow. But yeah, so you're all in the room, you're all in the ward together, so you can communicate with each other. You can move about,
Mm-hmm.
and you can recover some hit points.
Mm.
So I'm assuming that, Blake, you're using the story of being electrocuted.
Yes, I will do.
Okay.
I'll go over to Douglas's bed, check on him.
I'll explain what happened and what we found, and that obviously the genuine, what we saw seemed like genuine magic. It's the only explanation I have for it.
I didn't think he looked like he'd been stabbed or shot.
No, I don't know how we fight things like that. I was lucky enough to get shots off, but it didn't stop him. If it hadn't been for Jacob, I wouldn't be here. So we're going to have to be even more careful. If they're capable of this, who knows what other abilities they might have. Hoping that the book that we've recovered, as well as telling us what they were doing in the cellar, might instruct us, if not about how they achieved it, but how we can protect ourselves against it.
I have to
we
hope
start
that
with
only the most senior members of this cult have access to this sort of information.
Well, it seems that maybe Nkwame, who I thought was the leader, but he was merely the host.
Yeah.
Darren, was it Andare who was with Nkwame in the attic when I
Yeah.
saw them? Yeah.
Yeah, you think it was. You never actually got to see his face, but you think in reflection that was almost certain that's who it was.
We're going to have to be very careful because there might be other cultists around who want to retrieve the book. So we'll have to be careful, keeping an eye out about who comes in here. And Jacob, you need to take yourself off somewhere where you're not known, at least until we are recovered enough to leave hospital.
Where are all the apart from the book and the mask that you just recovered from?
I gave them to.
Yeah,
I've got them.
Lex.
You've got them all, yeah. Okay,
I've got them.
Yeah.
you've got them all with you in your
My trusty backpack.
yeah.
We need to make sure Paul keeps Nkwame in custody.
Yeah.
He's one of the prime movers of the cult. I mean, without him and Dare, they're likely to be weakened.
From my bed, I'll sort of drag myself to my feet if I can and onto my perch and hobble over, but tuck a bowl of fruit under my arm, slump into the chair next to Douglas. Sorry for what happened to you, friend. Here, one of the nurses left this bowl of fruit. Not in the mood for anything to eat at the moment. But of course, you're welcome to whatever you like.
Thank you. I think I could do with building up.
Yeah, I think you need all the vitamin C you can get. I wince as I stop myself laughing at my.
Luckily, I won't.
I've had a thought about the book, where we could keep it, sort of in plain sight. If I could get it into my library, it'd be harder to find. People wouldn't know what they're looking for. Could that be an idea?
The cultists will know.
Not many people have free access to that library. And the reference section and rare manuscripts, which is where I work in, they're all kept under lock.
It's
Maybe
certainly
safer in one of our apartments.
Well, I wouldn't believe anything. I wouldn't suggest that we keep it in an apartment. I think anywhere that we are known to frequent is going to be too dangerous. Well, obviously, I'm not going anywhere in the near future anyway, but that's why I was suggesting that perhaps Jacob finds somewhere in a part of the city that he doesn't normally go to.
Safety deposit box.
I'm inclined to stay here, gentlemen, but perhaps we've risked everything to get this book. Should we look at it?
Well, that's what I was going to suggest. Whilst we recover, whether you can start studying it. I mean, we have enough money. Are there relatives' rooms that you could stay in here whilst we're incarcerated?
I would have thought so. Are there any nurses still around?
You don't have to wait very long until one comes into the room.
There's no time for that, Jacob.
Three come along at once.
I was about to make a charm roll. But no. Yeah. I'll ask one of them. Excuse me. Are there any relatives' rooms where I could perhaps stay while my friends recuperate?
Yes. Well, relatives' rooms are normally just for relatives, I'm afraid.
Well, these are very close friends, and I don't have anywhere else to go. Is one free?
We would be willing to pay for it if somebody's using them, but if nobody's using them, we would be more than happy to pay for its use.
And if a relative does need it, then I'd be only too happy to move out.
Oh, well, of course. Okay, I can't see there being any harm. And your friends do seem to have had a terrible experience.
Thank you.
I'll see if I can arrange it for you.
Thank you so much.
Get a tick on charm there, Jacob.
Is Lieutenant Paul with us?
No, he's not in here. No, he is in the same hospital, but he's not in. He's not in the open ward, as it were.
I was wondering if there'd be someone stationed to watch over him.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Okay, so presently,
if you kept calling him Lieutenant as well, he'll be probably quite upset.
Yeah.
Well, that's the correct way to say it. Anyway.
Brits.
Let's start having that debate with him at this stage. I would have thought. Yeah. So the nurse comes back presently and says that it's fine. It's fine for you to stay in the relatives' room. It's literally it's just through there. She says, and she points it's literally just off the side of this particular large dorm.
Thank you so much. All that, gentlemen, shall I? I'm slightly apprehensive about this, but
get studying.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take the book. And
Well, one of the benefits and also one of the curses of being the least damaged member of the group, you get to read the book.
well, physically I'm undamaged, but
those are-
psychologically I think I'm the most damaged. But
If those are the rules, I'm going to shoot myself again.
Oh dear.
Well, hopefully it will provide us with the information that we need to protect ourselves so that these sort of things don't happen to us. But of course, if you're uncomfortable, then I totally understand it. Perhaps it would seem like something that maybe Stanton could, once he's recovered.
I'll make a start. We need to try and find something that's going to protect us against whatever it is they're using, or at least better understand it, so we can come up with our own strategies.
Okay.
I'll look on forlornly as the book walks out of my life into the sunset. Don't leave me.
Okay, you're taking the book out of its blanket then, or you're just going to take it in its blanket to your little. Yeah.
I'll keep it in its blanket while I'm walking around the hospital. It's not standard bedtime reading, I expect.
Okay, and the rest of you are just going to go and rest, yeah?
I'm doing nothing other than trying to get the image of a black miasma heading towards me and sucking my life force out of me, out of my mind.
Yeah.
I'm really trying not to think about that as well. But now you mentioned it.
Yeah,
Joy-
you've got enough with being shot in the gut to worry
Yeah.
about rather than having to deal with that. So,
Poison gas.
and Lex is just proper
Dripping
beta.
the flesh from you. Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to sleep for a week, or as long as they'll let me stay here.
Give me bed blocking.
Well, I'll maybe just go to my own bed and sleep for a week.
I would suggest not going to your own apartment.
I'm sorry, sir. I know you may have been you may have had your life force sucked by a black miasma, but we need the bed.
Your health insurance doesn't cover black miasma injury.
You have a cultist exclusion on your policy, I'm afraid. Okay, so while you go to the small, there are 3 beds in this small kind of side relatives room with just a little cabinet next to it, and then a chest of drawers at the bottom of the bed. Are you going to get the book out and have a look?
Yeah, I'll lay it on the chest of drawers and perch on the edge of the bed.
Lex, from where your bed is, you can actually see through the kind of windows into where the relatives' room is, so where Jacob is. Not that you're bothered, you're just going to go to sleep. Okay, so you draw the book out of the blanket. The book is in very poor condition with a cracked spine. It has blue pasteboard covers with marbled end papers and tattered blue-stained page edge. There are multiple dark stains around the edges of dog-eared pages. You can, as you kind of have a quick flick through, you can see there are multiple marginal notes in different hands. The book plate inside the cover states that the work belongs to Harvard University's Widener Library.
Oh, was it the one that was stolen? Oh, I'm not there, so I'm going to shut up.
Okay, and you're just going to kind of start. So I presume that are you just going to start flicking through it just to kind of get an understanding of what's in it?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'm just going to bear with me a sec. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's quite hard to kind of to navigate this particular volume. So you're going to have to spend like a couple of hours just to kind of even just skim read it and give you any idea of what the text actually is. But I'm assuming that you've got nothing else to do, so you're happy to do that. Okay, so the author is of the tome is one Nigel Blackwell, a descendant of British East India Company merchants, an amateur explorer, and the publication itself seems to be a collection of Blackwell's travel journals from his African safaris between 1910 and 1917. There's no index or table of contents, but skimming through the introduction reveals Blackwell's fascination with African cults and fringe religious sects, particularly violent ones with gruesome or disturbing ritual practices. The style is academic and detailed in its descriptions, providing highly detailed accounts of particular rituals as well as deep discussion regarding various sects. Despite referencing numerous obscure works and authors, no bibliography or footnotes are provided. On several occasions, the book delves into stream of consciousness digressions, reflecting this is a very rough, unfinished work. Towards the end of your skim read of it, you find that a detailed chapter at the end of the book from 1916, which the whole of the chapter deals with the cult of the bloody tongue. As you kind of begin to flick through a little bit more backwards and forwards, it's going to, to actually read this tome because of the size of it and also the way it's written with the scribblings and stuff all over it, and you reckon it will take weeks to actually read it properly. There is something that comes to you that kind of strikes you, which is illustrated as well. It's Blackwell's description of Kikuyu sorcerers of Kenya, a ritual that they practice by a blasphemous West African Vodun sect, where they use animated corpses to create what they refer to as Simba, Ciimba, where a ritual priest was able to cast an incantation immediately after death, reanimating the corpse within 24 hours. Rather disturbingly, the book references that the spell is actually in the book itself. You flick. I don't know. Do you want to have a look where it's at the back of the book where it's referencing?
Yeah, well, I'm going to focus on the bloody tongue chapter. So
okay,
yeah.
Well, after the bloody tongue chapter is where this incantation is purportedly. There's about 7 pages focusing on this particular process, and a lot of it you can't even read. There are weird symbols, and they kind of they seem to jump off the page at you and spin, and like your head begins to kind of you get a huge headache even just looking and studying at this at the text. You have no idea what the hell this is, but it's not normal writing. Okay, so yeah, so basically that's taken. That is a kind of overview of what you found. That would have taken you a good couple of hours of skimming and turning backwards and forwards through the book to kind of get that impression of it. It does leave you quite disturbed. Having done that, you lose a further point of sanity. Not only have you seen magic potentially being directed at one of your friends today, but you're now holding a book which purports to contain the ritual that would reanimate dead and create the terrible creatures that you fought in the cellar.
What sort of time is it now?
It's probably about 6 o'clock, 6:30, something like that. You look up at the clock, it's 6:40. Blake, as you're kind of lying awake, well, obviously kind of contemplating what's happened today, trying to forget about it suddenly occurs to you that 4 hours ahead, the chronometer, that would be GMT.
Nah,
London, baby.
London, of course.
Or South Africa, or anyone along a really, really, really long line. But
London.
London calling.
I'm going to take the book into the ward to speak to the others. I feel the need to share, to unburden myself a bit.
Okay. You feel a little bit, yeah. It's quite lonely and dark, and you do actually feel a little bit unnerved, as you can imagine. Okay, you're kind of half awake, and you're aware of Jacob coming back out of out of his wing room, as it were. He does look, obviously compared to Blake, he looks absolutely chipper, but he does look quite shaken. You can see that something is obviously disturbing him.
Any success, Jacob?
I don't know where I've got with it, really. It's an impenetrable text written by a Nigel Blackwell, an amateur explorer. It's a rambling stream of consciousness record of his African safaris between about 1910, 1917. He's obviously got a serious interest in African cults. I focused on a chapter about the bloody tongue. It will take weeks to see this and get everything we can from it. But what chilled me to the core was the spell is in the book for reanimating corpses. It describes it in detail. There are incantations, rituals. It's all there.
But does that mean, well, quite aside from the fact that that's not something we're going to be attempting, does that suggest to you then that they won't be able to do what they did anymore because they've lost the ability to do it because we have the book?
There's a good chance. It's fiendishly complicated. I don't even begin to understand it, but it goes on for pages.
So it's likely that they haven't transcribed it anywhere else, and this is the copy they were using. So we've achieved something positive. The concern is that they might want it back. How do you feel about continuing to study it whilst we recuperate, now that you know what it contains?
I'd like a break, to be honest, Douglas.
That's fair.
It's heavy going, and it's...
I wonder whether elsewhere in the book we might discover the incantation that was used on me.
We might. I suppose the key to understanding it is to understand it's the key to protecting ourselves.
Exactly so.
I wonder if Stanton might make this is more his thing than...
I'd certainly like to pass my eye over it. I'm feeling a little better.
Well, you hold on to it, protect it. Then when you're ready, hand it over.
Look about them.
Apart from further study of this, do we have a next move?
Well, we need to know what Paul's going to do to resolve the Juju House question. The chronometer, it occurred to me, is set to Greenwich Mean Time, which suggests a London connection.
Across the London.
Yes, we did.
The Penhue Foundation.
Is this book the same book that went missing?
Yeah.
It is.
The one that they disguise absence.
Yeah, so they use some kind of spell to wipe it from her memory.
Miriam, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. And wouldn't we be fortunate if that spell was within the book? Then we could use that to hide the book itself.
Are you suggesting that we start casting spells ourselves, Stanton? Having seen what they do?
Obviously, any spell that causes harm or injury to people, we should stay well away from. But maybe if it is a deception spell, but I guess then you have to decide how the deceit manifests by altering people's brains.
It would concern me
Yes.
greatly that you might
No.
want to use evil powers
You start off
in order to achieve good. That is a sure route to corruption.
We try to find line using the enemy's weapons against them. But also, do we then become like them?
Yes, we do. But then that being said, I've shot and killed somebody today, in defence, admittedly. But
However, how many lives has that saved?
well, mine and Jacob's at the very least.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that is a
Then
philosophical.
in the innocent people in Harlem.
Yeah. Well, but we can discuss that when and if we find an incantation that we think may be used by us. I suspect that creating zombies is not such an incantation.
Well, I'm certainly going to be here for a while. We do need somewhere safe and secure to store the tome.
Under your bed?
In the hospital?
Yeah, here. I mean,
not your bed at home.
Here. We're not going anywhere. We're all here.
Yes.
It's an open wars. Nobody's going to get in here unless they're willing to launch an assault on the place. This is a safer place as any.
Okay, as you're kind of talking, the ward sister comes in and advises you that it's time for lights out. As the evening has drawn on, it's kind of obviously
getting late. Yeah,
it's getting late. Jacob, you must retreat to the visitors' room. Leave the patients to recuperate.
I will sleep well, gentlemen.
I shall. I'm feeling rather drawn.
Okay, you sleep under the various administrations of the hospital for your varied ailments. as Thursday dawns, Stanton, you recover 2 hit points. Okay, Lex, you recover 3 hit points for you, and Blake. I don't know why I call you Blake, but there you
I quite like it.
go. It's because of the policeman. That's why
Yep.
you get 2 as well.
Oh, excellent.
Okay. However, you still, you all 3 of you still got major wounds. So, as far as that goes, you're not going to be able to heal any further until for you two, at least another week.
Okay.
Um,
I quite like looking like Iggy Pop.
okay. After you've had your breakfast in bed, you are pleased to the double doors at the far end of the ward open, and you see Lieutenant Poole in a wheelchair being pushed in by a doctor. He's got his left arm's in a sling. He's got quite a lot of bandaging. The doctor pushes him and then leaves him.
Good to see you, Paul.
What the hell happened to you? Once not enough.
Unfortunately not. Following up on leads is a dangerous profession, it turns out.
Blake, what is this?
Why? What happened to me? Are you
Everything,
sure you want
all of it. It's just crazy.
Well, unfortunately, that's exactly what it is. Everything you saw is true. Everything we told you is true. Everything you thought you knew is a lie. But how we can prove that and how you can tell people is only for you to decide.
I'm struggling to keep it in, to be honest. I'm struggling. We this can't get out.
They'll lock you up if you tell anyone.
I know. I'm tempted to lock myself up.
Yeah. We chose the only path we knew, which was to do all we could to stop it. Hunt people down who do these things and end it if we can. Sorry that we dragged you into it.
I woke up this morning hoping that it would have been some sort of nightmare and everything would be back to normal.
Well, all I can say is that luckily, as a result of what myself and Jacob did after we left Juju House, we think we've prevented the cult from being able to create any more of those creatures.
I don't even want to ask.
Well, that's probably for the best.
What do you know about this sort of stuff? He looks at all of you. I mean, have you guys come across this before? Because this is just way out of my league.
Not in this form, but you know that we knew Jackson Elias from a time in Peru, and that is where we first encountered what we can only describe as a genuine cult. Prior to that, we believed that they were just misguided individuals, religious fanatics, but what we saw there led us to believe that it's real. Not all of it, some of it, and it's more widespread than we believed. There are people active here, in Peru, London, and we're making it our business for Jackson's sake to hunt them down, find out what they're trying to do and to stop it.
Well, I don't know about Peru or London or any of those other places, but I've got to look after here.
Well, the best you can do for now is to make sure that the cellar at Juju House is sealed and Kwame is put away and has no contact with any of his accomplices, and that anyone dragged into this who is innocent is released, and any corrupt policemen that were supporting it are dealt with appropriately.
What do I tell the captain, though? I mean...
Well, you tell him that tell him the truth apart from the genuine cult aspect. You tell him that they were a genuine death cult who believed that they had magical powers. They stole bodies. They killed people for ritual purposes. And when you went down into the cellar to investigate, there were hallucinogenic gases in there which caused your colleagues to go mad, hence the gunfire. The corpses that you found down there were genuine corpses, but due to the hallucinogenics, you believed that they were animated and you ended up fighting yourselves. But the cult was genuine. They were murderers. He was inadvertently or deliberately protecting them, and he needs to make it right or to pay for what he did.
Oh, you mean Robson? I was talking about my captain, but yeah, I mean,
well, you tell him that then. Sorry, you tell him that this is what Robson was protecting.
yeah.
That will bring Robson down.
Oh yeah, don't worry about that.
But you need to
I'll
make
be bringing
sure
Robson
that
down. That's for sure.
you need to make sure that pit is sealed. Do not, under any circumstances, open it. There is something horrendous down there, and Kwame was very keen for us to open it. And on that basis, that is something that we definitely should not open or release, because I believe that is what they were working towards, if they hadn't done it already.
Certainly, if you can concrete the whole lot and the cellar next door in case they want to break through the wall from there. But if you're worried about or thinking about press coverage, we may have an ally for you in Rebecca Chosen. Obviously, she's desperate to clear the innocent name of Hilton Levens. I think if we can arrange that, then she may be able to assist you with the
A sympathetic telling.
yes, with the story that the public should hear.
Oh yeah, what do you have on her?
We have nothing, but he was investigating the murders. She investigated us, which unfortunately the only way to stop her getting involved in the way that unfortunately you did was to tell her the truth. I hope that I scared her enough for her to cease her investigations. But if you explain to her what has happened, she may well assist you in, as Stanton said, providing a story that suitable for public consumption and freeing an innocent man, which is what she wanted to do in the first place.
That was her motivation of the investigation. She believed that Robson had wrongly accused this gentleman and had him arrested unlawfully. The charges brought against him, all just because he was too lazy to investigate correctly, or because he had an idea of what was happening and wanted to cover it up. It's another nail in Robson's coffin.
Yeah, okay. I need to speak to you guys again. I just need to get this containment sorted first.
Well, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm glad to see that you all are alive, at least.
Well, so glad to see you are too. And I can't say I'm sorry that you're involved, because I don't think we'd be here if you weren't. I'm sorry that we've changed your life, and probably not for the better.
But you do have our thanks. And
Yeah.
Does show. I know. Sounds
You don't need to apologise to me. I just need to deal with it, and I will. He turns and kind of wheels himself back out of the ward. I'll be in touch.
Be seeing you.
He leaves.
I must say, chaps, that I do like Lieutenant Buller.
Yeah,
Top drawer,
I'm gonna
top
play him when I die.
You came quite close to playing him tonight, then, if that's the case.
Very.
Okay, so yeah, Lieutenant Paul leaves. It's just after 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, January the 22nd.
And there we have it. Everybody's in hospital. But please do join us next time on Steady Rollman Presents Masks and Nyarlathotep.